Hi, Ruby. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, everyone who's watching this is Ruby. She's a student in the UGC Academy, and she's a star student, a rock star student who's been doing very, very well recently. So, Ruby, tell everyone a little bit about yourself. What's your name? How long have you been doing UGC for? And just fill us in.
Oh, so I'm Ruby. I started UGC, I think, around either late February or early March this year. And it started kind of slow, just like, from the apps, like selfies, very small, lowball kind of offers. And then I joined the academy towards the end of May, and things have just been going up since.
Amazing. So, first of all, how did you first discover UGC?
I think I was on Instagram and there were these reels popping up about how you can get free products and make money from content. So I started looking up just more information and like when you save a reel or a post about something, Instagram just like recommends more. So I started just collecting free resources and stuff from there.
So, you found out about UGC on just TikTok and social media?
Basically, yes.
And I guess what were you doing before this? Were you working a regular job?
Before you see, I was mainly focusing on selling digital products, a lot of like social media marketing stuff, and it took a lot of work just promoting. It was very competitive because so many people, it kind of turned into like the same people selling the same stuff, just very chaotic, going in circles. But with UGC, it's completely different. There are so many brands out there. It's not like everyone's like competing against each other trying to give the biggest
Mm-hmm.
discount.
And then are you doing UGC full time right now?
Yes, like this is basically what I like do all day long now.
And how has that been so far, doing it full time?
It's very enjoyable. Like I like every part of the process. Like my favorite is, actually making the content, but it's really fun to like get inbounds or like reach out to brands and going through scripts, editing. Like I pretty much enjoy every part of the process, so it's really fun to just do it all the time.
Especially making money online, right? That's always fun doing that full time. And I guess how long have you been in the UGC space total? Since you said you're starting to, I mean, you're coming from digital products, right? And then you shifted to UGC. How long have you been in the UGC space total?
Since I think it would be about half a year so far.
Half of a year.
Yes.
So about 6 months. And then I'm curious about your journey because it seems kind of dynamic. So can you walk me through how it kind of all started for you?
Well, when I first discovered UGC, it was like last year, but I had like no tripod, no like stuff to film with. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to save these resources for later when I actually, want to get more into it. So for 7 months, all those like saved reels, like freebies, whatever, they were literally just sitting like in my accounts or in my inbox, and I was like not using those. And then this year, I think late February, I was like, I'm finally going to get started because by that point, I actually had a tripod and I had like stuff to film with, and I had more experience filming because that was after I had worked on creating this entire bank of like faceless B-roll, and I was like,
Mm,
this is like pretty good. Like people like this, so why can't I, start actually filming like face content or like doing brand deals because I know I have the like skills and resources now. So that's when I started. It was actually crazy. I literally signed up for like 50 different UGC platforms. It was
oh,
very
wow.
chaotic, but yeah, a few of those I started landing deals on, and mostly just like very low ball stuff, not because when people introduce UGC, they're always like, you email some brands, and then within a few weeks, you have your like $250 deals, and it was nothing like that at all. I was doing like $5 selfies, completely
Oh, wow.
different. And then that was happening for like the entirety of March and April. And then in May, I started kind of going through Reddit listings, and there were a few small jobs here and there. And then I joined the academy,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's where like things started taking off, like bigger deals, more deals, high quality deals, because I didn't want to stay in the same place with those tiny $5 jobs.
100%. And yeah, we'll talk about the academy in a second, but I want to know more about like, okay, so you discovered it through social media and TikTok and Instagram, right? UGC. And you saw those TikToks and you decided to give it a try with your background in digital products. So what were your like very first attempts like creating UGC?
So the first few videos I filmed, they were not like actual brand deals. It was just me trying to build my portfolio. So I took like this random stuff I had and just like wrote down, hooks and like a basic outline. I didn't really
Mm,
know what I was doing. Like there were so many pauses in between, but I I was just like, okay, let me just try to act like this is a commercial and like talk about a product.
uh-huh.
And then I think it was a bunch of like lip products for some reason because I had just like a bunch of those lying around, and then a ring light. I was like, okay, here's a ring light. Let me make a commercial. It was kind of
Uh-huh.
one of the biggest obstacles I ran into was the variety wasn't very good. Like I was trying to figure out how can I make like distinct niche categories in my portfolio if it's like five lip products and like a ring light. Like that doesn't make any sense. I mean,
Mm.
some of the videos I guess were okay, like minus the pauses, but it was like very beginner level. Like you could tell it was not at a high skill level.
So it sounds like it was kind of rocky at the beginning there when you first tried it out. As a lot of creators watching this might relate to, me myself included. So how long before like you realized it wasn't as easy as those like TikTok influencers like truly made it, seem?
I think the moment I started, like the day I was filming for the portfolio, I was like, yeah, that's not it, because I so many people they're like on there saying like, here's how you can get free PR, da da da. It's not PR. Like you actually have to, like have a vision, have a plan. Like this is supposed to drive sales, be a converting ad. It's not about just like hoarding free stuff. And so many people dive in thinking like it's easy. You just email and you're gonna get $250 deals. Like it's nowhere
Yeah.
close to that.
And then it sounds like those months were kind of like tough. Like what kept you going during like the very tough months at the beginning?
One of the biggest things was just seeing how even the most established creators, the most skilled creators, creators who earn the most, like everyone starts somewhere. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's slow, as long as I'm going up, I know that like there's going to be improvement. Just a little
Mm,
bit every day, like you know that by the end of the year or like weeks or months later, I'm going to be in a different place. And I was just kind of like a light at the end of the tunnel.
and even like when you were working for those like $5 videos and it was hard for you to, make content at the beginning, that just sounds frustrating, right? So like what was the hardest part about that time and that hump as a creator?
Mostly just I knew that the content deserved so much more, but I was like giving it away for so little, and I was like breaking my back making this content, and it's like $5 and then plus like platform fees, and it was just really frustrating because I knew that people were getting much better deals with about the same amount of effort, but earning a lot more than just $5. And, why can't that be me? Like, instead of working for these measly amounts.
And then how long were you in that period of like kind of struggling?
About 2 months.
2 months. So what was that one thing, like what finally made you realize like you needed to change your approach?
The constantly doing those very lowball deals, I was like getting tired of it because sure, I'm getting free stuff, but that's not money. That's like, this is supposed to, like, I was like, I want to make this a job. Like, I can't just trade free stuff for money. And like, something needs to change because like, this isn't how you make a living by just getting free stuff. Like, you actually need cash flowing in. So I was like, this isn't working. And like, these $5 deals, like, I'm ready to level up and move on because like, this is crazy. I'm doing like full-time work and earning like $20. That's not it.
Mm-hmm. That's insane. Yeah. I would not let that slide even as a bigger creator. So for you then, like what exactly changed then? Like how did you find out about like a different approach then?
The first time was when I saw your post about like email systems, and that really caught my eye because like, the most popular approach, like, people always say you go to your email and then you reach out to a few brands, and they're always passing around these like oversaturated brand lists that like
Mm-hmm.
half the time it doesn't even match the person's niche. And I was like, this is something different. Like, this is much higher volume. So, like, I've
Uh-huh.
never seen anything like this before. And it just looked like you had a very unique, outstanding perspective. Whereas everywhere else I looked, it was kind of the same stuff being repeated. And I was doing what they said, and it wasn't really paying off.
So it was kind of, you did what others were saying. It wasn't paying off. So about my post, like, I'm very curious, like, what was the first thing that you learned that made you go like, oh, like I've been doing this like all wrong?
Just the sheer volume, I was like, wow, that's a lot of emails. And like all those, Instagram posts or whatever, they're saying like, yeah, you just email like 5 brands and then you'll get $250 from your first deal. And like, that's not true at all for 99% of people. And there were literally points where I was like following their, like, a actually multiple templates that were provided like from like those big pages or whatever. And I mean, the thing is, like, maybe the emails were good, but because like I was using those oversaturated lists just like everyone else, and everyone else was probably using the same templates, even if it was like a good personalized pitch, like everyone was just competing. Like, there was not enough volume for me as a creator, and that, like, there was literally no deals landed with that.
For you is more like a comparison of like the information you're told in the past and then the new information that you got around UGC that you've never heard of before, which it does make sense on how that helped you out because, I guess it's trial and error. But once you get that, perspective of like, okay, this does make sense, right? Instead of copying what other people do, I guess it does make sense on why you got a different result. So I guess can you explain that shift for anyone watching this video right now that might be where you were in the past?
I think the somewhere along the way I was like, instead of treating this like a side gig, I'm gonna treat this like a full-time business because the information I had in the past, a lot of that was directed at people just looking for a side hustle, wanting like free products from the most popular niches, skincare, beauty, whatnot. And I was like, the moment I realized, like, if I treat this like a full-time business and just open my eyes to like more possibilities, because like SaaS apps, there are so many brands out there, like so many niches. Like we don't have to stay like cooped up in one niche or whatever. And ever since that changed, like I think even maybe even more than half of the brands I've worked with are actually like something digital, AI tools, apps, like just brands that I never would have like considered myself working with before that.
Mm-hmm. So how did you start applying this new way of thinking?
I started to respond to more listings for jobs that in the past I would have considered to be out of my niche or out of my comfort zone. I was like, you know what? Let me just reach out, like shoot my shot. Like maybe, you know, they'll want me to make content, and some of those brands they did, and I got more stuff to add to my portfolio, and more like similar brands. They saw that and they were like, I like this type of content. Would you be able to make it for my brand as well? And it just kind of started like snowballing.
So what would you say right now, like even like for the brands watching this, what would you say to a brand owner watching this podcast right now? Like how would you describe your services or your specialty or your niche, and like, why brands should choose you? Like what would you say to a brand right now considering that?
I say that I do a pretty wide variety of niches. I go all the way from like skincare and cosmetics all the way to AI tools, apps, everything digital. And I think I have a pretty adaptable skill set. Before UGC, I had several years of voiceover experience, and people always tell me, like, I love listening to you talk, like, you're so relaxing. And I feel like that's a great asset that I can apply to basically any brand, any niche. And on top of that, I also have a lot of video editing experience, and that was also something I did prior to UGC, and I really enjoyed it. So
Uh-huh.
even now, that's one of my favorite parts of the experience. And once again, I can apply that to any brand, any niche. I'm just like very flexible.
What about like your current processes of like creating UGC, like maybe that you learned along your journey? Like what separates you when it comes to creating UGC for brands?
My From digital products, I have like transferable skills from learning about, sales psychology and other topics that are relevant to driving sales, more conversions. So I basically carry over that knowledge to see like what would be a good hook, like
Mm.
basically the entire script, like what should the call to action be based on like the product, brand, niche, all the details.
And I guess like what kind of brands have you worked with so far? And can you like list any like specific like results that you've like driven for brands?
So just like examples of brands I've worked with.
Yeah, like niches, examples.
I worked with a bunch of skincare ones, a lot of digital or AI tools, apps, a lot of wellness ones as well. Um, I don't have specific, I guess, numbers like for sales or like for the brands that I've worked with, but my ads for this AI tool is being run on Instagram and Facebook ads, and it's been going for a while. And when it actually came
What do
up
you
on, so when I saw that like come up on my own feed when I was actually scrolling through gigs, it had like hundreds of views when it first launched. I don't know where it's at now, but hopefully that's doing some numbers for them.
That's awesome. Why do you think it's performing well? Like what sauce did you put in it?
Just making it fast paced because you want the viewers to stay on, and also even though just the tool demo, it was literally just, like running a prompt. I did like a few angle switches that still like kept the focus on the product so that it was visually engaging, but at the same time, you still like know what this is about. You can clearly see like what this tool does.
And even like talking about pitching, like landing the brand deals, like I imagine that changed dramatically too as you know, started to learn UGC, this new way, right? So, how has that kind of changed so far for you versus like before the beginning part and now with your UGC journey?
I think the biggest change is I used to be all like, oh, I have to stick to email because that's what everyone like introduces it as, and they're like, oh, you just email brands. But there are literally so many different places. Like I've gotten deals from Reddit, X, Facebook. Like there are tons of listings, posts out there, and if I hadn't done that, I would have been missing out on lots of deals, potential new portfolio material, and actually, some agencies connected with me through social media. And if I was just sticking to email, that wouldn't have happened.
I assume you're doing a lot more volume, right? Like you mentioned before. What did kind of your volume look like before versus now with systems?
It was basically dead. Like I would have a few, like less than five contacts with brands per week because I was constantly just like overthinking, like, is this email good enough? How does it compare to other people? I would be repeatedly editing, running through ChatGPT, like just way overdoing, putting in way too much effort for the return because most of those brands were oversaturated anyways. And now it's like I get like 20 to 30 positives every week, and it's almost overwhelming. Like I had to like stop for a moment because like I started getting a lot of inbounds like without even reaching out myself, and I was like, there are so many deals coming. It's like overwhelming.
That is crazy. Where are all these deals like coming from?
Like the in terms of like niche, or
In terms of like pitching and the inputs that you're putting in every day.
I think a few found me through TikTok. A bunch emailed me, I think because either from my portfolio or like I dropped my email under a listing somewhere. But it's just been like so much coming in. I even got an email from one of the biggest AI companies, which is incredible.
That is insane. Any like systems around that stuff that's generating you business on autopilot, and any email pitching systems, any systems around just applications?
Not so much automation as more of just applying the provided template approaches and using AI to, customize that to the brand need, which that made it a lot more efficient. And I just was like, okay, this is good enough. It's been customized. Let's go. Instead of, you know,
You're more so using the pitching systems around the custom, application and positioning and the processes to put in volume on these platforms instead. And that's really cool that you're landing so many like positive replies, like 20 to 30, you said a week, which is insane. Do you feel like you're reaching like qualified decision makers with this positioning, not just like the company's customer service or support manager?
oh, yeah, for sure. Like CEOs, like higher managers. Like I'm pretty sure there was even an AI company where like the founder was literally like, "Here's my number, just send the videos." I'm like, "This is crazy." Like I'm talking to the founder.
How does that make you feel?
Honestly, it was like surreal. I'm like, I'm literally talking to CEOs and founders. Like, how is this possible? And then I just remember, like, hey, like, eventually you get to the stage where you're a creator and you're talking with, people at the very top. Like, it's not unrealistic. It's not impossible. When I first came into UGC, it's like this could never happen, but it can. It's possible, and like I've proven it to myself.
Yeah, that's insane. And I'm so happy for you. So you're speaking to qualified brands that are actively hiring with budgets, not targeting companies that are broke.
Yeah, no more like $5. That's like crazy.
That is crazy. It must seem extra crazy now.
It's almost like there's a shift and then you don't realize it until after. And like a few weeks ago, that's when it happened for me. And I'm like, I'm looking at my calendar where I, like put the deals and like when I want to finish them and everything's filled in. And I'm like, this is insane. Like, where did all this come from?
Yeah, exactly. So how, like, break it down for us, like you have so much success with UGC, like how are you positioning yourself now? And I remember back then you were competing in a very saturated niches, right? So how do you separate yourself now, and what untapped opportunities are you taking advantage of now?
Of course, like one of the biggest differences is I have more experience, more portfolio material versus back then when it was just kind of just like a generic mishmash of examples, whereas now I have clearly distinct sections so that if a brand is they just want to see examples that apply to their niche, it's easier for them to see what I can provide them with, which is like that convenience that is already like so much better than just having, you know, a generic mishmash that they have to go through. And I feel like that makes a big difference because, they always want things to be easier, more convenient. They want to, get to the point, see what you can provide them. And I also put more background information on myself and the transferable skills that I bring from digital products because I used to not have that or even like mention I had any experience in those areas. And that would just, I was just like, in the sea of people, in the crowd. But now they're like, oh, you actually have like these transferable skills.
Wow. That must feel very amazing.
It does. Like every part of this journey has just been getting better and better.
So how has it helped to like negotiate with brand owners? Like I feel like most UGC creators can't even negotiate, and they're like scared of speaking with brands.
That used to be where I was because I'm like, I'm just starting out and I can't, ask for more. But now my mindset is I'm doing work and providing you with high quality content. So you're going to pay me for the time and effort that I'm putting into this because you have to remember that it's not fair to yourself to just get stepped on and then make a way less than you deserve. So I'm no longer if a brand is like we only have $50 and you have to follow this insane script, I'm just like, you know what, that's not worth it. I progressed beyond that stage. There are brands out there who will pay me for the appropriate amount for like the effort, time, and value that I'm providing. Because just because there's like a bad brand right in front of you, that doesn't mean there's a good brand to the left or the right or behind you. You just have to, reach them and look around and turn down bad deals because that eats away from the time you could be using to reach, better deals.
Wow. Yeah, and that's very impactful. So what was your experience going through like the role plays and like the proper negotiation strategies? Like, did they help your business, and did they book your help you with your confidence and feel more prepared on these calls with brands and these conversations with brands?
Yes, because I used to have like no idea how to even like bring that up because it always felt like, okay, the brand is above me, and it's like they're giving me this amazing opportunity. But now I'm like, no, we're on equal footing. Like, I'm a creator. You're going to pay me what I'm worth. It's not like the company, the brand is giving me this incredible opportunity. It's I'm providing the brand with an opportunity to boost their sales, their conversions. Because, there are so many, even, like gifted collabs where so many people go for them, and it, it's like the brand positions it as some sort of incredible opportunity, and then they get like a cheap product and then have to follow a script. I'm like, that kind of work you should be getting paid for. Shouldn't be, like, get your money's worth. It's not you begging a brand to work with it, even if it's like a big brand, a famous brand, you know, having a free famous product that does not pay your bills. Like, making money from content, the money you deserve, that's what pays off.
Yeah, and that's a great realization that like hopefully the creators watching this video are kind of having as well. So like what about the actual content creation, Ruby? Like how do you approach that differently, like creating UGC?
So when I first started, it was kind of haphazard, like no real planning, just doing what I thought would be a good commercial, and it was like very rocky because of that. But now I have like clear plans. I just write down exactly what I'm going to shoot, what I'm going to say, and everything is goes way smoother, way faster, because when you have a plan in place, there's no like stopping in the middle wondering what my next move should be. So I just set up, get the shots I need, film like if there's talking involved, then I film those, and then
Do you use frameworks as well?
like what kind of frameworks are you talking?
Like on how you structure your videos, and there a certain way on how you structure your videos now versus before when you told me you just like willy-nilly just like got your camera up?
Like the hook CTA kind of thing.
Yeah. Was that all new to you?
I knew about hooks from making content for digital products in the past, but not so much in regards to UGC ones. So, kind of look at examples, see what was performing, and then think about how I can apply similar concepts to the ads that I'm doing, and better hooks, shorter hooks, because some of my older videos, it was way too long. Like by the time I finished the sentence, they probably already scrolled. But now, like, all my videos just get straight to the point. I dive right into, you know, demoing the product, explaining, or like whatever the purpose of the ad is, and then just end off with a CTA, whether that's more casual, or some of the brands they want something more purpose driven, but like they tell me that. So it's basically just those three parts, but more efficient.
Yeah. Having structure, I mean, it makes sense on like why that helps you so much, right? Because you're structured and organized, as you said. So I guess like what systems do you currently use in your business, like all together?
like all the apps and tools.
All of the systems, like as in something like a repeatable process, like what do you have put together around anything in your business, around landing collabs and on delivering collabs, right? What do you use in your business now?
The most important one is definitely Notion. That's where I I'm tracking like all the deals. I have a calendar. I have like a status on where each one is at, if I completed it, if it's in progress or delivered. That's how I keep everything organized in this basically database. And then Gmail for email right now. I don't have my own domain, like it just works just fine. And then a lot of stuff actually, some deals get handled through agencies that wanted me to do deals through them. So
Even like a system is like what you wake up every day and just do, right? Even brushing our teeth is a system because we repeat it every day, right? So what are things that you now repeat every day that you know, oh yeah, this is going to get me 20 to 30 positive replies that I'm getting every week, right?
so literally, I have like this set time where I have this folder of like all the apps or socials where I usually land deals. So I just have a set time where I go through each one and then apply or reply, DM, whatever. I go through this entire folder of apps, whether that's like Reddit or like a UGC app. I just go through everything like at the beginning of the day. And then that's where a lot of deals come from. So after that set time, I just, wait for those replies or acceptance things to start coming through.
100%. So obviously, like you have like insider information now about that, like most creators don't really have, right? So how does it feel like to have access to a bunch of like other coaches and professionals in the community who are actively like hiring these UGC creators? For example, Alexander or Will, right? Or myself, the other brand owners, or even like Emily, the creative agency owner. Like, does that give you like a fresh, like new perspective coming from like people who are hiring these UGC creators?
Yes, because it's always good to see like from the other side of things, like what brands are looking for, like the yeah, because if I'm like applying for a job, then I want to know like what's the employer looking for, and that helps me decide like how I should move in my own business, like what I should work on, improve, what's the most important to the brand. It has like a ripple effect because this like all that can apply to millions of brands out there.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess what were your some of like on top of your head, like ballpark, what are some of like the biggest takeaways from learning from advanced brand owners, creative agency owners, and other professionals in the space?
Some of the biggest takeaways, just like in regards to anything UGC related.
Yeah, anything UGC, pitching, negotiation, strategies, UGC creation, anything.
I think one of the biggest things is there's not one like set right approach that works for everyone. There are so many different ways you can succeed in UGC. Like for some people, just like attracting inbounds from social media. For some people, that's a lot of emails. For some people, certain platforms work better than others. For some niches, it's like your journey is unique. And like in the beginning, I thought everybody has to have the exact same approach if you want to succeed. I'm just gonna stick to email, but like that turned out to not be true. Like I'm landing so many deals outside of what I was originally using and assumed to be the only right way. And another takeaway is don't overthink or like try to be too perfect because I used to waste like so much time just over analyzing the content that I filmed, stuff that literally no one would care about or even notice. Like this single hair put a shadow on like one side of my face. That has nothing to do with the product, nothing to do with like anything in regards to the ad. And I was just so focused on details that in the end don't even matter for the brand and it shouldn't matter to me.
And even so, like UGC on TikTok is like portrayed as this like make 10K a month or 5K a month in a month, right? As like a boss babe and like receive a bunch of your favorite makeup for free. But obviously like you're learning from real business owners. So how do you feel like your mindset has changed during this process?
I think the biggest change is it's not about like just earning and getting free stuff. It's about you're like a legit business owner here to make change for brands. You're actually you know getting into the customer's minds, sales psychology, driving sales, boosting conversions. Like this is an actual business. Not they paint this like illusion of you're getting tons of free stuff, but 99% of people never even actually get into it because they're not ready to treat this like a real business. It's they're just there to like get free stuff, which doesn't happen most of the time when like all those popular brands are already oversaturated.
For sure. And you went from like the first 2 months you said like were very hard for you. You went from being a creator to thinking like a strategist.
Yes, much more strategic, like actual business owner, not just a creator begging for brands to work with them on social, because I see that all the time. Like so many creators are like, please, like I would love to work with, and they're doing that work for free. And I'm like, with your skills, like you can be doing so much more, earning so much more, like get what you deserve.
Okay. And so like even about like your first win, like how did it feel to land your first paid like brand deal? Like your very first one in the program? How did that make you feel?
It was kind of like the feeling when you're biking uphill and then you reach the peak and then finally like it's easy. Like that was what it felt like. I'm like finally like this is getting somewhere. It's like I'm getting out of the hole where it's just like random $5 deal.
Okay. So it sounds like, it's, you know, tough to go up, but once you're at the top, you just feel so relieved.
Because the moment you land like that first deal, it's proof like I can do this. Like if I can do it once, I can do it again. If I can get this one, I can get a bigger one, higher quality one. It just keeps going.
What was your like highest paid brand deal and how did it feel to hit that mark?
Was for like this data analysis tool, and
Wow.
that one was only for 50, but I have two 50s on the way. Those have not been like invoiced, so I'm not counting those for now. Those are also for AI tools.
What was your highest paid like month with UGC?
Overwhelmed with deals, just constantly more coming in. I think the projected it's like around 2K, I think.
Around 2K,
Right off the top of my head, I don't have the exact numbers right now.
but it's around 2K you said for this month and we're 25 days into the month.
Right.
Wow. Is it your first like 2K month or even $1,000 month?
I have not reached 1,000 in the past, so yeah, this is a first, and it's been chaotic, but I love it because the deals are just coming in.
Wow. And what do you feel like were the biggest factors that got you to like go from like $0 and a struggling creator to like, boom, we're making thousands of dollars a month from UGC? Like, what was the biggest impact or how did that happen?
Reaching out more and posting more because, like, when got more contact on both ends, both brands coming to me and me going to brands, because like some of the, or in the past, I would look at listings or posts and be like, it sounds like they're looking for someone who's more experienced or a better fit. And now it doesn't matter to me. I'm going to reach out, even if I'm not 100% sure, like, I'm what they're looking for. If it's just a basic description of a gig, I'm like, I have the skills, let me shoot my shot, because who knows? Worst case scenario, they ignore the message. Like, no one's going to care if I'm like completely not what they're looking for. They're just going to ignore it. And there's also other creators doing the same. So there's no shame in just reaching out and, who knows? Because that's where a lot of the deals that I got in the later months came from. And that helped me build more in my portfolio, which in turn led to more deals. And it just keeps going.
Okay. So, how does it feel like to make money online with UGC? I feel like there's a big gap of like people transitioning into like online business, and you're able to like be profitable with this, right? So, what's the difference about like your day-to-day life from back then when you're struggling to now?
Back then, it was very inconsistent. Like, I signed up for so many different platforms. Some of them were not even working. Like, I'm pretty sure they were literally just defunct, but still advertising for some reason. And I was just getting burned out, like, just going in every day. And then there's only like three platforms that actually work, and I'm spending all this time on places where I assumed I'd be getting deals, but I'm not. Whereas today, like, I figured out what works for me, and I have a set system where I've saved all the platforms that do work for me, and I just go through them at a set time every morning, very routine, very routine, and just so much calmer, and it pays off a lot more instead of wasting time going through 50 platforms. And that took like hours out of the day, whereas now I just go through what works for me, and then in the afternoon I have time to actually create content.
So, it sounds like there's a big difference between where you were and where you are now. And I'm curious, like, what's next for you with UGC? Where do you see this going for Ruby?
I guess just scaling to more retainers and higher paid deals, and just instead of originally I was going for 1K, now why not 10K?
There's a lot of abundance.
I think I have at least 5 ads to do this week. I just, like, more and more is coming in.
That's beautiful. And even like, how do you see personally, like with all of your insights with UGC, how do you see the UGC industry evolving over time?
The style of ads will change. Like, I mean, UGC is already more relatable and personable compared to, polished commercials, but I feel like there's still going to be a shift towards stuff that's, less formal, because, within UGC itself, there's different styles. Like, there's skits, there's funny stuff, there's more formal, like, spokesperson. I feel like there's going to be more of a shift, not necessarily humorous, but just more casual.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. And what would you like tell someone like who's where you were like 6 months ago?
I'd say the biggest thing is you don't have to use the same approach as everyone else, or the same approach you see on social media, because a lot of those might not work for you. Like, I was signing up for platforms that I saw recommended on TikTok and Instagram. I was using email approaches, like literally saving them to my phone and using those. Like, barely paid off. So just because it's from pages with a big audience, or because you see hundreds of other people going for like the same resources, the same approach, doesn't mean you need to stick to that. Like, figure out what works for you as a unique creator, and double down on what has worked. It's kind of like you replicate the best 10% or whatever. Like, if I have 10 apps and only one of them is working for me, I'm going to focus on that one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's great advice for anyone listening right now. Like Ruby jumped from like, you know, zero to multiple thousands of dollars a month very quickly, right? As a newer creator. So that's very good advice there. So, how, my question to you is now more about like your learning processes. Like, how important was having mentorship in this transformation?
Very critical, because like having customized guidance, that's how you progress in like 99% of skills, right? Whether that's like school or sports, like you need unique advice in order to, not because not everyone's in the same place, right? So if you're getting like the same advice as everyone else, that's probably generic and not, the best. That's customized to your background, your skills, your current position, and having access to customized advice, plus you know constant weekly check-ins, and also a variety of perspectives, that is like a huge help for anyone.
And it seems like it made a big impact for you. So, how do you feel about like, or I guess like, would you recommend like this path to other creators?
I would recommend it to anyone who's serious about making UGC into something bigger, instead of just a little side gig. Anyone who's serious about scaling up, this is for them.
And about the like investment, like how do you feel about the investment you made like into your education?
I think it's probably the best one I've made for the whole year, and the best one I could have made in regards to UGC, because there are so many out there, and like a bunch actually reached out to me, but I was like, I don't need a bunch of programs. I'm just going to go for what I believe is the best fit, what I believe provides the most high quality and valuable help.
What was your biggest like doubt before making the commitment into yourself? Like what would you say to others who might be like dealing with the same struggle?
I think just, I don't know what to call it. Like, maybe, is it imposter syndrome or something? Like, where I was like, I feel like I'm not supposed to have this. Like, this is not meant for me. Like, this is for other people who are better or more skilled. Like, I shouldn't be here. But that's, in the end, like, that's for me to decide. I was like, it doesn't matter what other people are doing or what other people think. Like, if I want this result, then I'm gonna make it happen. Because, like, why can't I? If everyone else, or like someone else, is able to do this, like, why wouldn't I be able to do it?
100%. And that's beautiful, right? And I'm glad, like, thank you so much so far, like, for sharing your journey. Where can, like, people, like, find you and connect with you on social media?
Oh, it's True Bloom, CHOOBLOOM, on TikTok and Instagram.
Cool. So thank you so much, Ruby, for hopping on with me today. It's very interesting to learn more about your journey with us and with the team, and how far you've come, right? And hopefully everyone watching this video, they got, they learned something as well. But yeah, thank you so much.